Welcome to another episode of the Teaching Tidbits series. We are in part 2 with Professor Juan Preciado, who was with us in our previous episode. And the last episode, or the last part, we were talking about the learning units, all of the different components from the learning units. And, we had a lot of great tips and all of the different details on how these learning units were designed. And we want to continue. We want to ask Professor Preciado to give us a tour. Take us through that learning unit. How does that learning unit look like for students?
So what do? Well, I start actually my learning unit on a Thursday, and I found that was better than started on a weekend or a Monday, because then the students don't wait until Saturday or Sunday evening to do the work, and they look for the professor in the middle of Sunday or Saturday night. And the actual unit ends the Wednesday after at 2 p.m. And after 2 p.m. I tell them the 2 p.m. to 11:30 or midnight is for me to review what they've done. I provide them feedback and to post the grades. So that's a typical extent or duration of the unit.
How useful has that been with you when students are approaching to you and say, I study, but I don't know what happened. I don't understand the content, all of that.
So what I do, and usually I spend maybe, I'm slow perhaps, responding in terms of composing the answer, but it's because I spend time researching the student's concern. And I mean researching is going back to Blackboard and look at the student performance. How long did the student spend time in a specific area? How long did a student take to take a quiz, or how long did he wait between one attempt and another? Or even in the discussion board, you can see the time they spent on the discussion board. And so I use that information to compose a response to the student so I can provide it with a specific feedback. Okay, you say you did this, but the information on Blackboard tells me that you didn't spend enough time doing this. Perhaps you have to consider spending a little more time on this type of assignment. Perhaps you need to look at your classmate that already responded, or perhaps you need to review my instructions. So I use that feedback when students ask me, but I always respond to the students right away. That's very important, that you provide that feedback.
Talking about students,
right?
What would have been the reactions from them? What type of feedback do you get from students?
The reaction I get, frankly, is very positive, because they feel there is somebody there that when they have a question, I'm not just saying I'm the professor, or read more, study more. No, I tell them, hey, you didn't study enough, or this is where you missed. And remember, I remind you this part, but you didn't do A, B, and C. You need to do A, B, and C. So they know that if I give them a low grade, it's not because I felt like it. It was because they were missing something. And I tell them specifically, generally speaking, what they were missing. Or in the case of quiz, I said you could have taken it again, and you didn't. Or you could have taken it before, not wait until Wednesday when it's due. So the students generally, I would say 90% at least of the feedback that I know of is usually very positive, in the sense that they felt it was helpful.
Faculty, right? A colleague. What advice would you give to them if they wanted to take a similar approach that you have taken?
So faculty need to see that this is a resource that is available to them, that would you be able to engage more students, but they should take, I believe, a workshop just to get an idea of how this works. But it's not difficult. Believe me, it's not difficult, and you gain a great deal of satisfaction by being able to provide feedback to students. We're able to send messages to students. We'll be able to put and upload your syllabus, or your summaries, or your class notes, that the students said, okay, they don't want to use Blackboard, just tell them, okay, you want my class notes? Fine. You need to go to Blackboard and find them. I know some of my colleagues do. So these things are already there, and they can do it. And they can plan these things. And I think some of the pointers that I mentioned in the part 1 could help anybody So there's so many things that this faculty can do. I just wish they can try and see if it works for one class. Just give it a try. It may work.
One last question that I want to ask to you is about your own teaching. How this whole process, all of these approaches that you have taken, how that changed the way that you teach?
And me, my philosophy has been always along the same lines. If the student does not learn, surely the student bears responsibility for their learning. But I see it as, is there something that I can do? Is there something that my learning approach can be modified or adjusted? How can I make it so that most students will profit from their learning? Most students will spend more time engaged with the material. Again, the philosophy behind it is, how can we engage more students? How can we truly show them that we care? And how can we modify our approach so the students learn more?
Now, with these words, with this advice, we want to thank again Professor Preciado for
my pleasure.
Wonderful feedback, sharing so many tips, and we hope that you find it useful and then you take advantage of all of the resources that are going to be connected to this video. And until the next Teaching Tidbit, we thank everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.